Legacy is built on intention, not inheritance. One day, I hope you see what I see in you, not just potential, but purpose. These stories speak not just to us, but every family who's ever fought to protect their legacy and wondered if it was enough. This is my little giant, little stories.
Giant family impact.
So let's explore what legacy really means through the Whitmore story. What if I told you that most families lose their wealth within just 3 generations? Would your family be different, or would everything you've worked for disappear? From nothing to an empire, the beginning of the Whitmore legacy. James Whitmore was born into hardship. His father was a factory worker and his mother cleaned houses. Growing up in the 1920s, James saw firsthand what financial struggle looked like. He vowed that one day his family would never know the pain of scarcity. Through sheer determination, he built a small business that eventually expanded into a lucrative manufacturing empire. He invested wisely, acquired properties, and diversified his wealth. By the time he was in his 60s, he had accumulated $1 million fortune. But James didn't just want to enjoy the wealth, he wanted it to last. One of the earliest lessons he learned was that wealth doesn't sustain itself. It must be carefully managed, protected, and passed down with wisdom. That's why James started documenting everything he learned, compiling a collection of journals that detailed his financial strategies, business principles, and the rules he followed to secure his fortune. The son who lost it all, the dangers of ignoring wisdom. James had a clear vision: build wealth not just for himself, but for generations to come. He has seen too many people work their whole lives only to leave their families with nothing. His journals outlined his core belief: money is temporary, but knowledge is what sustains wealth. He tried to instill the vision into his son John, but the lessons didn't take hold. John grew up in luxury, attending elite schools surrounded by wealth. The hunger that had driven James simply wasn't there. Money had always been available, so John saw no urgency in understanding how it worked. He ignored the journals, believing they were relics of the past. When James passed away from a sudden heart attack, John inherited everything, and within a decade, he had lost nearly all of it. John's mistakes were costly. He invested without research, spent without limits, and planned without structure. The estate that once symbolized their family's success became a burden. Property taxes piled up, debt spiraled, and soon the once pristine mansion was almost auctioned off. The investments that had once multiplied under his father's careful management were now liquidated to cover poor financial decisions. The journals had been there for the whole time, offering solutions, warning of the dangers of reckless spending, urging the necessity of estate planning, trust, and financial structures, but John never read them. By the time his own son Daniel was 5, the family wealth was a fading memory. The Rediscovery, a grandfather's wisdom unearthed. Daniel grew up hearing whispers about the Whitmore fortune. His mother would tell stories about the days when they had chauffeurs, private schooling, and family vacations across the world. But for Daniel, that wealth had never been real. By the time he was a teenager, his father was struggling to maintain a middle-class lifestyle. The once prosperous Whitmore name had lost its prestige. His grandfather's empire was now just an old tale. One evening, while helping his mother clean out the attic, Daniel stumbled upon a set of leather-bound journals. They were his grandfather's financial records, meticulously kept over decades. Page after page contained detailed strategies, investment plans, and wisdom that James had wanted to pass down. He realized that wealth is more than just money, it's knowledge. For the first time, Daniel saw the roadmap his father had ignored. He devoured every page, learning about compound interest, risk management, and the importance of asset protection. He read about how his grandfather had created multiple streams of income so that no single setback could wipe him out. The lessons he uncovered transformed the way he saw money. The rebuild, learning from the past, securing the future. Daniel realized his father's downfall wasn't just reckless spending, it was a complete lack of protection. James had detailed his own near financial disaster in one of the journals. A lawsuit had threatened to wipe out everything, but because he had legal protections, insurance, and diversified investments, he had been able to recover. Without those safeguards, Daniel knew their family's wealth wouldn't have lasted even one generation. Determined not to repeat his father's mistakes, Daniel built protective financial structures from day one. He secured life insurance, protected his business assets under legal entities, and made sure his estate was structured in a way that no single event could destroy everything he had worked for. The new legacy, wealth that lasts beyond a lifetime. Daniel didn't just rebuild his family's fortune, he ensured it would never be lost again. Unlike his grandfather, he didn't leave the future up to chance. He set up automatic investment plans, reinvestment structures, and a trust that required each generation to complete financial literacy training before gaining access to their inheritance. For Daniel, wealth wasn't about luxury, it was about security, opportunity, and legacy. And for the first time in generations, the Whitmore family's future was no longer uncertain. What we pass on isn't just what we owe, it's what we remember and what we choose to protect. The story's just beginning. This is My Little Giant. Little stories.
Giant family impact.
Let's keep going. Episode 1 is waiting.